This episode is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. Gray Block Pizza in Los Angeles, 1811 Pico Boulevard, on the way to the beach. Gray Block, a snazzy place to take your face and get fully Italian. Open your mouth, feel the fire and the fun. It's pizza. Gray Block, get that hitter. Don't be alarmed. That's not a fire. That's an alert. The Legend Collection has dropped. And when I say dropped, it's landed right on my head. This right here is that hood hat. It says Philadelphia, South Philly. Hood hat has some killer hats for everyone out there. Football fans and fans of other sports. You want the South Philly for your Philadelphia Eagles fans? You got that hat. You want that South Loop for the Chicago Bears fans? Get it. Chicago colors, South Loop. We got Jordan hair for Auburn Tigers. We got Austin, Texas for you Texas fans. And go on and hook that bestseller. Hook 'em. They also have hats for baseball teams with the baseball playoffs coming up. You can get Grand Concourse for the Yankees, Chavez Ravine for you Dodgers fans, and many others. Quit getting a hat that just says, oh, Philadelphia Eagles. Get a hat that represents your hood. Check them out. You can go to at Hood Hat USA on Instagram or visit hoodhat.com and use promo code HOODUSA for 20% off. That's promo code HOODUSA for 20% off. Hoodhat.com. Get that hatta. Do you suffer from diabetes or arrhythmia or genetic dysfunction in your body of your dick? Well, that can all change. I have a product right here called the Ridge Wallet. You tired of carrying a wallet in the back of your pants like some creep? Like some weirdo? Oh, who's that in the distance there with that big old, that big old leprosy bump on the back of in his pocket? Oh, that's just that crazy man. And that's a wallet. Well, change that up. Don't be a back pocket wallet weirdo. Get that front pocket hitter, the new Ridge Wallet. The Ridge Wallet is a special, you hear this? Possibly bulletproof establishment. It's that front pocket carry. So suddenly quit carrying around them condoms and the extra, receipts and all that. Throw all that junk away. Get your license, get your ID, get what you need. Put it in the front pocket carry. All your credit cards, a hook right there for your cash, and stay classy. Front pocket carry. Go to ridgewallet.com/Theo and use code Theo at checkout for 10% off. That's code Theo for 10% off at ridgewallet.com/Theo. They're good wallets. Today's guest is from an underworld, if you will, in America, or one that's hidden. She is a sex worker. We've been trying to get someone from her universe up here into ours for a while now. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that she's wearing a disguise, that facial kind of, a little bit of hide and go seek around the face and neck. But we're here to get into her world today, and we're so happy to have her. Jesus. It is sex worker Allison. Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Good? Yeah, you feel honestly like you seem like someone who could be anyone to me. You seem like anybody from, honestly, Vanilla Ice right now to Sinead O'Connor. To someone at City of Hope who has a cancer issue. But also somebody who's maybe also at Barry's boot camp. So I feel like you are...
It's a wide range.
Yeah, I feel like, sorry. But I do feel like you have a wide range going on right now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, she's here and she's in... I don't know if I'd call this disguise, but we have a sex worker with us today, and her name is Allison.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Are you nervous?
Slightly, but I think it's going to be more fun than anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, and if I say, like, recently they've had, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have you in or someone in your line of work is because recently they had, can you bring it up, Nick? The SESTA, is that right?
FOSTA was what was passed through the House, and then FOSTA is the bill that was was passed into law and signed by the president.
Okay.
So I do actually have a couple like data about that as well. So I don't know if you want to talk about now or like if you wanted to get into the heavy stuff now or have fun and then get into the heavy stuff because it's like kind of depressing.
Okay. No. Well, I mean, I guess now I almost feel like a little bit of like a client now. It's like, do I want to have fun and then get into the heavy stuff? Or do I want to get into the heavy stuff and then have fun? Well, how about this? How often do you work?
I work, well, it's varied over my, career, but I work anywhere between once a week to 3 to 4 times a week.
When you say times, is that a full day or is that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
The most I'll see in one day is, absolute max 3 clients, and I really don't, that's like pushing it for me. So most of the time I just see 1 or 2.
Okay. And when you say see a client, is that you're going over to their place or they are, or how does that kind of work?
It depends. Like, most of the time if I'm going out, it's going to be meeting at a hotel. And then I also have a location that they can come to see me. That's very, obviously it needs to be discreet, and it's way more discreet than a hotel in a lot of cases. So,
wow. And that's not like a van or something like that. No, it's not like a.
No.
But it's not like a storage shed or something.
No,
okay.
It's a nice condo actually.
Okay.
That I share with a colleague.
Okay.
Yes.
And so a visit, right? Like, what are your clientele like? Because when I think of somebody that hires a sex worker, or not, maybe not when I think of it. When people think of it, I imagine they think of like, some guy and he's got, and his cheeks are all red, kind of like a young Santa, but never got into doing gifts. And like he's and he's smoking cigars and he's, lying to his wife and running around. Is that, what is a clientele? What is a sex worker's clientele?
Mine, it's been very surprising actually. Like, and I have to say the longer I've been doing it, the better my clients have been. At the beginning, I still didn't have like a lot of savings. So I was kind of just taking what I could get. And at this point, I'm so opposite of that. Like, I'm so picky about who I see and, my interaction with them before I see them. A lot of my clients are, they really vary. I've seen a lot of people that are younger than me that, are virgins. That's been a little weird.
Really?
Yes, I've had a couple people pay me to take their virginity because it was so awkward for them to try and do that in their real, they were just like kind of nerdy, like they were in, their second or third year of college or whatever, and they just like couldn't engage with a girl in the real world. So
I can imagine that.
I did have one like not tell me, and like in the middle of the appointment I was like, have you ever done this before? Like, it just kind of clicked with me, and I was like, this dude does not know what he's doing. And then I was like, why didn't you tell me before? Like, that's kind of important information. But and then so I have people like that, and then
like, how did you know? Like, was he doing it backwards or something, or like was there?
It just seemed, it was just really.
What did he do? Come first and then?
No, it was just really awkward. Like the hip movements that were happening and like just a lot of things that were happening made me like, kind of clued me in that I was like,
was he doing the Carlton or something? Like, I'm just kind of wondering what he was doing.
I'm trying to, like, this was a while ago. So I probably, a lot of this stuff too, I've kind of just like, washed my memory of because I'm just like, it's okay. I don't need to like keep rehashing that in my mind. But
do you have a virgin package? Like, if you're going, because that's fascinating. I never thought about that. That, there's some young guys out there and they can't get that, that bust out, or they can't get that, do you notice that do you feel like they can't approach a woman? Do you feel like it's that the sex is the nervous part for those guys? What do you notice
like
with that?
one in particular told me that he, had gone on some dates and he told the girls like, hey, I've never had sex before. And it kind of like scared the girls away. They're like, oh, I don't want to take that on. Like, I don't want to take your virginity. That's like too much pressure for a girl. And then it starts then they don't want to, turn into like them being so much older and they still haven't had sex. So I think that's why they're just like, oh, let me just contact, a high-end escort and do it that way and get it over with and get,
And you got that practice. Pandora's box. Really, how many virginities do you feel like you have inside of your vagina? Do you feel like?
Well, I took a couple before I became an escort, but I don't know, maybe 10. Not like a whole lot, but I've kind of already.
You're like the Tom Brady of like taking virginities. I feel like that's a lot.
For my own sanity, I've decided to not see clients that are younger than me at this point. Like anyone in their early 20s, like I just can't. It's never like super great for me. I'm always like, this is so awkward. They're always too awkward. I'm really good at making everybody feel comfortable and like, they enjoy their experience. It's all good. Like they don't leave feeling like, that it was less than stellar, because I always take like really great pride in what I do. So for me though, it's just a lot to take on, and I just have decided not to do that anymore.
And how long have you worked as a sex worker?
I've actually worked as a sex worker for a really long time before I started professional companionship, but I did everything from like videos and photos online and webcamming. I mean, it started with videos and photos, and then I started live webcamming, and then I kind of graduated to, and the live webcamming was fun, but it was just like everybody knew my business. Like it was all over.
Oh, really?
It was all over the internet. Like Oh,
yeah, because guys would go on there and you can peruse through different ones and they might find you.
Yeah, and it was just a live free stream. So like,
Oh, really?
I would have like dudes that I knew. They would be like, oh, I'm watching you on camera right now. I'm like, can you please not do that? That's really awkward. Or someone would record it without my knowing, and it would be on like Pornhub or whatever. And then I'd get a friend that would send me the link and be like, oh, I just found this of you. And then I'd have to have Pornhub take it off. And
now, do you get a little bit of excitement from that? Like, is there like kind of is there something that's enticing about seeing yourself on like a Pornhub or something like that?
Well, the Pornhub part, not so much, but because I have never actually done porn, but I feel like I've always been very open to being an exhibitionist and like being out of the box as far as like what I do with my sexuality and what I do with my body and how I earn.
Okay, so you've been out of the box. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay.
You've been out of the box by. Will you say it one more time for me?
By being an exhibitionist, and
you've already been very open.
Yeah, very open. I've always been super comfortable with it, and I've always been drawn to it. I've always been like, I don't know. I just knew from a very young age I was going to be completely different than everybody else.
Have you ever, was there somebody that like, did you ever have a pimp or anything like that when you first got into it?
No, absolutely not. So when I had kind of like, I guess, a female version of a pimp that kind of like got me into webcamming and taught me how to do it. And she was like taking part of my payment and
like a madam a little bit?
Kind of, yeah. I don't want to go into too.
Like a house mom?
No, like an online house mom, I guess. Like everything was online.
Like Ask Jeeves, but for pussy, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. And then I kind of just got over that because I wanted my privacy again, but I was still like into the idea of using my sexuality to for my benefit and putting value on my sexuality. And putting value on my body and using it to my advantage. So I then talked to a friend. This was like several years, like, I don't know, a couple years ago. Talked to a friend and she was like, you should get a sugar daddy. And I was like, oh my God, because you know, a lot of my like webcam clients wanted to meet me, and I was so freaked out by that idea. I was like, there's no way I could like ever
break down this fourth wall. Yeah. It's like
or like there's no way I could ever have sex with like one of these dudes that are like giving me money for like, you know, enjoying like
jerk,
watching.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, there's no way.
And Nick does it a lot. Our producer actually.
That's false.
He seems like somebody that does then. Sorry.
Cool.
That's fair. That's
Okay.
fair.
It's cool if you do it anyway. I mean, like, sometimes I even to this day like to go on and like look at the girls, and I'll like load some money and like give them tips and stuff because I think it's super fun.
Yeah. And so then there was that moment where you talked to another girl. She had a sugar daddy, and she said, "You've got to."
Yeah, maybe try this. And I was like, okay. But she was like, don't do what I did. She's like, I did really dangerous things. I would just like, you know, get on a plane and fly. She said she like flew to Jamaica once, and
Wow.
like without really knowing that like the guy was going to be super safe or whatever. There was really no like screening practices like what I do now. But so I did that, and what I figured out was sugar daddies are extremely cheap and manipulative, and like it's just, I don't know, if you're listening and you have a sugar daddy, they're probably a blacklisted escort client, because they're just they'll be really flashy with their money, and like I have all of this stuff, but they will be super cheap about like giving you, you know, more than it was just, I wasn't getting what I
Like, you mean Jewish, or what are you talking about?
cheap. Just I had one for like my very first one I had for like 7 months, and he was just like, you don't want to be a, you know, I don't really want to say, you know, the HOOKER word because I hate that word, but he's like, you don't want to do that. And
The hooker.
yeah, he's like, you don't want to do that. That's dirty. That's disgusting. He would like,
But then he was still
really
paying you to do it.
He was paying me. I got away with like, I mean, he was not an attractive human whatsoever, and he just had a shitty personality. And I got away with like, out of 7 months, I think I only slept with him like 5 times. So I was able to like get, you know, but he wouldn't give me enough for me to like save, and you know, and
Okay.
I still had like a vanilla, like regular job at the same time too.
And do you feel then? So the sugar daddy thing. I have a friend that goes on a lot of those sites and has dates with the girls from
Seeking arrangements.
yes, all
Yeah.
the time, right?
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, literally 4 nights a week. And it's kind of, you know, I love the guy. It's a little gross sometimes the way it's almost like shopping or something for him in a way, you know, which isn't bad. I mean, I think he kind of just wants company, you know?
Right.
But it seems like for some people it can get, it doesn't seem like there's any benefit for the women sometimes. That's what it doesn't seem like.
There's very blurred boundaries,
Yeah.
and you have like there's so many girls on there and the guys are like, oh well, I can get this much for 200.
Right.
You know, girls are doing things for way less money than I would do at this point.
Okay. Did you ever get approached by one of those like sex carnivals or anything like that? Did you ever do like a traveling sex thing?
Never.
Because I'll tell you what happened one time. So I went to Europe with a girlfriend, and we were, we were having some intimacy difficulties because that's really one of my strong suits. It's really, yeah. Intimacy difficulties is one of my strong suits. And she was a beautiful girl. But we they had one of these, kind of Croatian kind of fuck circuses or whatever, where you could go, you pay money, and you stand in like a cage, and they put people out there on this spinning wheel, and they're fucking, or having sex.
Right.
And then at one point the wheel gets fat. They add more people and the wheel gets faster, and it's like it becomes a thing where you can even bet on them, and the last person to be on the wheel, wins or whatever, and they get the money. It's kind of like it's like you bet on a horse, but the horse gets the money.
Right,
Right.
right.
But it was just fun, so people are cheering, you see people and all these little cages you're in these little, you're in a box with a screen. And so the screen door would go up and you'd see all the other creeps and the other little things cheering on the people in the little, Barnum and, Butt-Foonery or whoever they were,
I feel like Europe is way more open about sexual, like
Yeah, and it was just on the
sexuality
street. And we
it's
literally walked out of a
so
coffee
different than
house,
here.
walked into there. We're in there for a half hour, walked out, and it
Right.
didn't feel as crazy as if they had that here. Like they would have a bunch of, lonely, like sad people outside protesting it.
Right, right. It's we've got this like really strange like puritanical moral weirdness in this country, and I really don't understand how or why.
Yeah.
So I wish that we were, more open like European countries are. Like it would be better for everybody.
Do you know, a lot of, to kind of talk a little bit about the law thing that happened, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the laws that are changed is you can't, and I'm just going to try to streamline it here, that you can't advertise on websites. Like Backpage, Craigslist, and stuff like that.
Basically what it's done is the law itself has put the websites they're now held responsible for what third party users post.
Oh wow.
So if it could be described as trafficking, then the website is then held accountable for
So
it.
now they have to shut it down because
Yeah, a lot of websites have like shut down. Backpage, that was a completely like that all happened kind of like it was weird that it was around the same time as FOSTA, but it was a different thing. Yeah, so things have shut down.
And it was
Websites
Proposition
are way
260
more.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of celebrities came out and pushed this and championed it,
Right.
As if to stop sex trafficking, right?
Right.
And to me, it's always seemed like the sex trafficking numbers in America have seemed way overblown.
They're inflated.
Yeah, it's like you hear 200,000 women in America are being sex trafficked and
Right.
stuff, and I'm like, where are there trains running through town? Like, where are these people? You
Yeah.
know, because even when I would have experiences with hiring escorts or something like that, or engaging with them at all. I never felt like, oh, this woman is being sex trafficked.
No, I don't know anybody that's being, coerced or I
Have you met a lot of women like that? Because now
No.
there must be something that where that belief comes from.
it is there, it's out there. But the ironic thing about this bill is that because they are now, being removed from online, it's pushed it into a dark, dangerous place because now it's moving to the streets and women that did depend on that less expensive advertising like Backpage and just websites that were less expensive to advertise on, they are now being approached by pimps. They're now having to go work on the streets. It's become so much more dangerous. And I don't even know how, the Department of Justice opposed this bill. They felt like it was going to squander tax dollars because it makes it more difficult for them to find sex traffic victims because they're not being posted online anymore.
Right. There's no track. Now there's no way to really track them.
Yeah.
Now it's like we could end up in more times where you have like a Green River Killer or somebody like that who's going and just picking these women up. It sounds like if there's going to be more women out there.
I mean, it's basically made it's made people that are poor, trans people, women of color, people of color, trans people of color. It's affected them the most out of anybody.
Why is that?
Because they depended the most on those
Craigslist and Backpage.
Yeah, they depended
when
the
you would
most
see
on
those
those
sites,
advertising platforms.
I agree. When I would be on those sites, because my thing is, dude, I would get, when I was doing drugs out there, I would be doing drugs, and I'd start, what'd you say, Nick?
You mentioned the celebrities that were against the sex trafficking.
Okay.
I hate them all.
Ashton Kutcher's your mortal enemy.
Yeah, I know it was like Amy Schumer, Ashton Kutcher. Are these people? Oh, Ricky Martin. Who else? Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore, Carrie Underwood, Kristen Bell.
It's just it's a misguided. Like I understand. Like it's hard, especially for anyone
It feels misguided.
any lawmakers that are having to vote for this. It feels weird. There's only 2 that didn't vote for it, and it's hard to be like, oh no, I'm against, the Stop Sex Trafficking Act. Like the way that it was worded is so sneaky, and I really feel like what it actually did was remove a lot of our freedoms as far as using the internet goes.
Agree.
So it's actually a really dangerous bill. There was a lot, like the Freedom Network, which is the largest organization of anti-sex trafficking, or it's the largest network of anti-sex trafficking organizations. They completely oppose this bill.
Wow.
The Department of Justice, the
it's
ACLU.
almost like people just took in, okay, this is what we think about it, so this is what it should be. Let's name it the Stop Sex Trafficking. Of course, everyone wants to stop sex trafficking.
Right.
But this wasn't the way to do it.
And we also don't want consensual sex workers to be lumped in with sex traffic victims, because people like myself are completely like, I'm doing it on my own volition. I enjoy my job. I love my job. Everybody that I know, that, my colleagues that I network with, which I network a lot with a lot of other women, we all really enjoy our job. And a lot of us really truly believe that like we're helping people. And the reason why I feel activated to talk about FOSTA and the people that are disenfranchised by it is because I'm in a position that I'm okay.
Right.
Like I've really not been affected too much by this.
Okay.
I mean, it was scary when it happened in April. Like it was very, like we didn't know, it was really uncertain. Like, we use online blacklists that are, our secret blacklists that girls can log into and find if a client had hurt somebody or raped somebody or assaulted or, dangerous people.
Right.
We use those to keep ourselves safe. We use each other to keep ourselves safe. Like we, can reach out to other girls.
This makes it harder to do that?
This makes it, the blacklist that I use removed, as soon as FOSTA happened, they removed a lot of their postings. So if a girl said, John Smith
dressed up like Paul Bunyan and chased me with an axe, painted me blue and chased me with an axe.
Like had
and
an
you can't
actual
put that on there anymore.
Had an actual description of what happened linked to this person's name and phone number and email. The phone number and email and the name still come up and it's still flagged as a blacklist, but that whole description is completely gone.
Right.
And I think even in some cases they changed from dangerous to just time waster.
Right.
Which a time waster sucks. There's so many of them. I feel like that's all of the people that are on seeking arrangements. But we need to know the difference between a time waster and someone that's fucking dangerous. Like it's just so I've depended heavily upon like references from other girls. Like I will not see, my screening actually has gotten even tighter. And it's completely opposite for a lot of people that aren't in my position. They're screening. They have basically not been able to screen.
Right.
They need to make ends meet.
Right.
Like I think there was and
a lot of the women on the sites, I do say, just to get back to that, it seemed like a lot of impoverished women.
Yes. That's exactly
and you
who
definitely
it is.
saw it was a lot of black women. It was a lot of but here's what I would say. It was a lot of black women, but it was also a lot of poor-looking women.
Yes.
And I say that because I grew up around a lot of poor-looking women, and I know what they look like, and these were some of them. That's what I'm saying.
There was right around that time, this sex work advocacy group took a survey of about 300 sex workers, asking like what happened, what their life situation is like, post FOSTA-SESTA, and I think it's like 77% are the sole providers of their family, and 89% have 1 to 6 dependents on them. So it's and you can't. I feel like a lot of ignorance is like, oh well, they can just go get another job, but that's absolutely not the case.
Right. And why did I wonder? So sex trafficking became like this. Every couple of months there's a new thing. It's like the buzzy thing that celebrities get on board with because it keeps their name in the limelight, I think, a lot of times. But they see it as like, oh, I'm bringing attention to this issue.
Right.
And it makes sense. If somebody's like, oh, would you stop sex trafficking? Sure. Yeah, 100%. How would you say then that you try and stop sex trafficking, but not inhibit the women that you're talking about and that you and I are talking about, like other women? Like, is there a way to do it? Do you have another idea, do you think? And I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm not like putting,
I mean, harm reduction, decriminalization. I mean, I think those are like our two main things that we need to focus on. Like this law is the opposite of harm reduction.
Right.
It has caused a lot of harm. Like I've seen countless posts on Twitter about like, hey, my friend had to go hit the streets last night. She's missing, or my friend committed suicide, or my friend is in the ICU. She got beat up by a bad client. Like it's gotten like out of control. So I don't know like where are the victims that were helped by this. Like, please show me.
Yeah, it's another thing. Like, and I remember I would go to because I've been asked to perform at like different sex trafficking events over the years and stuff. And a lot of the times, the videos and stuff, the things that I would see at some of these places, I'm just like, where is this going? Like, they'd show all these videos of women from a lot of other countries, and I definitely think it's happening more in other countries,
right?
For
Same.
sure. But it's like, I've never been around an environment. I've never, even in, having experiences with escorts, that I've never been like, oh, these women seem sex trafficked. But now what about a woman that has a pimp? Like, that seems like an uncomfortable situation sometimes.
Pimps take advantage of vulnerable women.
Right.
And if we had a way, if it was decriminalized, if we had a way to protect ourselves, if we did have a bad John, by going to the police and not being punished for prostitution,
right,
I feel like it would completely cut out the middleman. Of like, a pimp would not be necessary.
Yeah.
If we were able to feel safe at work.
Right. I see what you're saying.
I mean, I say we as my community, a lot of this stuff doesn't necessarily apply to me because of the position I'm in.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just talking about it because it needs to be talked about and put out there because it's super important, and not a lot of people know about it, to be honest. We're really pushed into the dark with this.
Yeah, well, it felt to me like whenever this thing came out, I was like, this seems like a lot of people who don't know. It just seemed like, well, how are these women who are using this as a regular tool to live and to subsidize their families and provide, what are these women supposed to do? Because I don't see trainfuls of, impoverished Sri Lankan women being bussed across America. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I can imagine that there's definitely some, some shady brothels and stuff like that going on. But even the guys that I know to get involved in that, they go down to Mexico. They go down to Tijuana. Now, I do know that, like, off of Manchester and Inglewood and stuff like that, there's a lot of, like, trap houses. Like, I know a lot of NFL athletes used to go. They had, like, this famous kind of trap house in Miami.
Like rub and tugs?
Well, it was more like a place where they would keep, like, 5 or 6 hot, like, Instagram model type chicks.
Got it.
And it would be sort of like a sexual weekend or something, And these are, some of this are things that, these aren't things that I've been to, but these are things that I feel like I've heard enough about, like, from different people, where it's like, okay, this is a thing that's kind of going on. Even things that I've been given business cards to go to. Well, let's lighten it up a little bit. So what is look, this is really interesting.
Right. I really wanted to talk about that because it's so important.
It's very important. And that's one of the reasons why we've even been trying to find you or someone like you to come in and talk. I mean, we've been looking for someone for almost 6 months.
Yeah.
We've been looking for someone since this was a really, a hot issue.
Right.
That if women can't advertise on these places, then where does a woman who's who doesn't, because you're more like an elite companionship these days.
I am.
But you recognize, and you're not afraid to at least, acknowledge that not everybody has that luxury.
Yeah. And we're all sex workers. I consider myself in this, like, I'm no better than, a woman that's sucking dick on the street for $50. Like, I really don't consider myself any better. I want to help that woman.
Yeah.
I just attended last week. I went to the Sex Workers Outreach Project committee meeting because I do want to get more involved with volunteering and helping and doing my part. And I think I do feel activated to do that because of how much I love my job and how much it's like sex work has completely changed my life. And
really?
for the better, completely.
and let's get back. So let's get back to that, but I want to keep it. I want to keep this like, Nick, will you write that down, please? How sex work has changed her life completely.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tell me a story of like something that's kind of a wild that would be interesting, or just tell me a story.
I have so many interesting stories.
Do you?
Yeah, I had to actually sit down last night and discuss. That's why I have this little note card, because I needed to like jog my memory about some things. But
okay,
because I've been doing this, so my hoe-versary is April 2016. Like I started around April 2016. I started seeing my first clients.
And you got those through camming?
No, so there was this website that was around pre-FOSTA-SESTA, and it's no longer around. It was like a review site. Mm-hmm. It was a way that guys would use it to avoid being ripped off by like a bait and switch, like a girl whose pictures they're seeing, but then they show up and that's not the girl.
Oh, yeah.
So they were using it for that, but then it turned into this like, it would be this like the juicy details, and like, I mean, it was really incriminating, to be honest. Like there was a lot of, it was like a Yelp page for sex workers.
Right.
Anywhere from like massages to high-end companionship or whatever. So that was there. And that community made like a meet and greet back in like April 2016. And
really,
I was
meet and greet between the workers and the clients.
And the clients. And there was a forum on this website. So a lot of guys were like really active on this forum, which is so mind blowing to me that like anyone would spend their time being active on a like escort review site. Like
Jeanette L was a real feisty.
And then some of them, we call them hobbyists. Some of them were really just like, and they would call us hookers, and they would talk shit. Sorry, I should not drink LaCroix. They were like, they were just kind of, we call them slobbyists, because it's called a hobby, and then they would be the hobbyists and we're the providers. And then the ones that were just, really into the hobby, we would call them slobbyists. Okay. So there was this meet and greet, and I was linked with a girl, completely like outside in like my vanilla life. Like I was given the contact information of a high-end escort, and her and I started talking. And actually I first got introduced because she couldn't make it to something, and she asked if I wanted to go instead. So you got your shot. This all comes full circle, because so I show up to this hotel and there's 5 other girls, I want to say. Okay. And it's this really tiny old little Asian man, and he loves having like 5-6 girls for 1 hour, and he calls it a party, and he like brings roses and chocolate covered strawberries and this whole thing, and it was.
And what's he wearing?
Slacks and a button-up shirt. I just remember. So I was talking to these other girls before this individual arrived, before this gentleman arrived, and they were like, I was like, yeah, I do sugar baby stuff, and I don't know, I'm kind of a little afraid to like go full into professional escorting. And they're like, oh my god, it's so much better, like it's good to have the boundaries, the time limits, everything. And I'm like, yeah, that does sound like it would be like better for me mentally, because this like these issues that I was having with the sugar daddies, with the no boundaries and the manipulation, and like just, it was all bad. It was really dark. It was a dark period of my life. So
because the men have all the power.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, I feel so badly for the girls that, there's a ton of them. I feel so badly for the ones that participate on that. So many. And because I think this like sugar baby lifestyle is like really like inflated on social media.
It's glorified on Instagram.
So
like,
glorified.
I'm on this jet, I'm on this. Yeah. And you never see any of the old dudes in the background. You never see any. You just never realize what's really going on. Yeah. But there must be something empowering about that. But you're saying, it sounds like for you, it turned more like in a business?
Well, no, the guys are just, honestly, those guys are just fucking shitty. They're just users. They want to get as much as they can for as little as possible.
My buddy that does it, honestly, that's exactly how he is.
Yeah, that's why they're, and I think honestly, a lot of them are blacklisted clients, because escorts stick to their fucking boundaries.
Right.
We're like, no, I will not sue you for less than my rate.
Right.
Sorry, move along.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Because whenever I would like whenever I was doing drugs, I would get all high and like, I'd still want to interact with people, but there's nobody to interact with. You're so scared. You can't have people come over to your house, your buddies, and just hide and pretend you're not doing cocaine,
Right.
and just hide behind the plants in your own house. So then I would start, engaging with escorts off of websites, texting them, and just negotiating rates, dude. But it wasn't even. But I would always be too scared to have them that was way too much. Like I had so much anxiety.
A lot of people do. Like I
was a time waster.
You were a time waster. Thank you so much.
Is that what it'd be called?
Yes.
I was a time waster.
You were a time waster.
And I'm glad, yeah. I mean, and I find that I don't struggle with that, even engaging in, looking at those types of websites anymore.
And it's okay if you do.
Since I've gotten sober. Yeah, no, I'm not saying it isn't. But for me, it was more of a, it was, I don't know, I was just lonely, I guess. I was lonely in a part of me that I didn't even realize. I just wanted anybody to be around. I just wanted to engage with anyone. And sometimes the only people that will engage with you, if you're, where it doesn't matter if you're high or whatever, you know?
No judgment whatsoever. I think that's what is so great about what I do is there's a need and I provide service for that need, whether someone's lonely or going through something. I mean, I kind of completely sidetracked off my story, but I have clients that were like, I was going through a really dark period of my life and you really helped me. I've been told that numerous times and it makes me feel like so good that I'm actually like, they're like, thank you so much for the service that you do. Because there are lonely people, but then at the same time, I see people that are like just super fucking busy or that, I guess.
Tell me about the Asian part. So the Asian party, you're there. There's five girls.
There's five girls talking to the girls. And then I just remember it was this, we're all just like acting bananas. I think I was drinking and they were all drinking. And
Is it a nice hotel room?
Yeah, it was nice. It was fine.
And did the guy show up?
Yeah, he showed up. It was an hour. It was super easy because there was like so many girls. So it was just like a couple of us would like be in the corner pretending to like eat each other out, but we weren't really. We're just like making the noises and giggling. And then, and I'm sure he knows that it's not.
Did he break out that party shrimp or what did he do?
Wait, what's party shrimp?
That wiener, bro.
Oh yeah, he did.
That Japaniner.
I'm actually so impressed by this older gentleman, like that he can just like hit it with fucking 5 chicks and just it was pretty impressive.
Now, what do you mean? Like, you mean that in a stage fright sense kind of deal?
No, like he was just going for it. Like
everybody.
He does not give a. I mean, obviously there was a lot of hygienic things that were happening in between each girl.
Right.
But I mean, it was. So then, actually. That then just happened last week. I had some girl that I've never met before reach out to me via email and was like, hey, can you come and see this? And I was like, I know the client that you're talking about. I've seen him before. It's been a long time. So I ended up going and there was only 4 of us this time, 4 girls.
It's like Welcome Back Kotter kind of. It's
he walks in and he either pretends he doesn't know me or just does not remember me at all. So and the first time I saw him, I was like a completely different name. So this time I had a different name and everything, and he like totally didn't remember me at all. And I was like, that's really bizarre, but whatever. I guess that works. So I ended up doing that again just, last week.
Okay, and now
after
this time
2.5 years of not doing it.
Did you take more control this time in the scenario because you've been in it before? How did it feel differently, like it's just comparing one experience
We were all
together?
working together to just like, move things along. We were like, it was an afternoon. We're like, we have to, keep this under an hour.
With beat traffic.
Yeah, we have to, okay, it's time to, we were all just like, it was a very smooth teamwork. We were all like, yeah, okay, now let's, put your condom on. Okay, now we're going to do this and this. And okay, now it's time to like, I don't know. We really like, it was a smooth.
Now were y'all spanking? Is people pulling each other's hair, massaging?
We were laughing. We were licking each other's tits. We were like, someone was keeping him busy. And then the other girls were like, and I kind of like lost my composure a couple times. I was like laughing, but it's all, I mean, it was kind of fun because it was like an opportunity to act like a complete,
Right. And with all that body activity, does anybody ever like fart or toot or anything? I feel like that would happen.
I had a friend that told me that.
And you have to play it off, right? You don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's never happened to me, but I had a friend that told me that she would a couple of times she's passed gas. She's like, whatever, it's just part of the experience.
Oh, wow.
She,
Especially in Japan, they don't care.
She was very confident, and this job has made me so much more confident with myself. Like, if it did happen, I would just be like, well, whatever, that's a body. It's good.
Yeah. That's part of the experience, brother.
Yeah.
That's an extra $40,
You got to tip me for that one.
Upcharge on that up charge.
Like where my form of companionship is called the girlfriend experience. So I guess we can just chalk it up as a part of the girlfriend experience.
Okay. And what do you charge? What is that like?
You want me to discuss my rates? I mean,
is that okay to talk about, or you don't feel like talking? It's up to you.
I don't know if I should specifically state what my rates are, but
okay. Can I, is it, so for, is it like above $500 an hour? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if are there experiences ever where you stay overnight, stay? Okay.
I've flown places. I've been flown places. I only work in LA, and then I do work in New York a couple times a year. So I do have clients. The thing also about my type of companionship is I have the same people that I see. I have like a regular clientele. Oh,
okay. I see. And is it hard to establish that?
It takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time, for sure. I feel like if I would have, I've seen a couple girls pop up that are new since SESTA-FOSTA, and I'm like, wow, what a nightmare. Like, that cannot be easy to completely start fresh in like the post, with all of our, like a lot of our resources are gone. And like, I don't know, luckily for me, when I started, I did have a little bit saved up from my sugaring stuff. So I was able to, hire someone to do good photos and it all costs a lot of money to keep the appearances of, a high-end experience.
Okay. So you have a website, you have all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So it's like a business.
It's totally a business. In fact, I have an LLC. I pay taxes. I have an accountant. I run my business completely on my own. I've considered getting an assistant, but I just am too type A. Like, I need everything in my own control the whole time, even though it's so much extra work. But
I feel you.
And especially like, 90% of my job is weeding through emails and
really
like.
Just like Nick.
Just total bullshit.
What are like one of the wildest things that somebody's, is a John or somebody has hired you to get involved in? Because I picture like doing jousting. You ever get out there and they got animals in there? You know what I'm saying? They got raccoons out there, something like that. I feel like.
I got an email just the other day of a
like
guy.
hide a snake in you or something? Do that reptile magic or something.
I don't think I couldn't. I've had
Where's
someone.
my snake?
I had someone had mentioned animals, and that just completely disturbed me. So I was like, "Fuck that." I had someone email me, and I'm not going to return this email, but they stated my weight and my height, and then a girlfriend, a colleague that I work with, because I have a couple girls that I do doubles with. So, and they are listed on my website, and I'm listed on their website, and it's, well known that we work together. But he was like, I know that you're this height and this weight, and your friend is this height and this weight. Would you be able to hold her for long periods of time and throw her around? And like, I was like, well, it was funny because I'm like, I'm not like a power lifter. So that I was just imagining me like struggling naked, trying to throw my girlfriend onto around a hotel. And it just seemed like the weirdest. I don't know. So most of my work is completely just normal and vanilla. Like, I don't really, I've had a couple experiences that were like really just out of the norm. I can tell you about.
I'd love to hear about one of those.
Like about a year and a half ago, there was a double with a girlfriend of mine, and it was a guy that I don't think I'd seen before. And he comes in and
now, do you put on body polish or something like that when you go over there for the stuff? Do you put on moisturizer and all of that?
I take very good care of my body.
Yeah. Your skin looks nice.
Thank you. I am in tip-top shape all the time. That's my body is my work, so I keep it as everything is completely clean. I get tested constantly. I've never had an STD. That's actually we have a lower STD rate in the escort community than in real life because we are so adamant about protection and
definitely than at Virginia Tech
tested.
University. I drove through there once, and you could smell it in the air. Something going on over there.
Yeah.
In Blacksburg.
So yeah, I'm all like freshened up. I look good.
Okay. So the experience you were going to tell me about one.
Yes. So it's my girlfriend and myself, and it's at our in-call, and this guy comes over, and he looks cute. Surprisingly, a lot of my clients are like really attractive. I have a lot of attractive clients, and it's like I'm always like, thank you. But he comes over, and he's like somewhat attractive from the start, like from the first impressions. And I think it was supposed to be like 90 minutes or 2 hours or something like that. And he wanted I think he either wanted double penetration for my friend because I don't do butt stuff, but my friend does butt stuff, and we have a strap on. Her and I went and bought a strap on together.
Okay.
And it turned out that he wanted to be pegged while he was fucking her, and I was like, okay, I'll do the pegging. And
that poke-a-motive they call that, boy. You know what I'm saying?
We used this like
damn,
this
is
like
US
kind of
jousting
rampy
team.
pillow thing to so she was laying on her back, and then he was on her, and then I think
so he was
there
doing
like
kind of a missionary style, but buttocks work.
Yeah, and then I was completely in the
behind
back,
him.
In the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in the back, man. You're that Horace Grant. You picking up the rebounds.
This had been, I mean, there was like all kinds of fooling around and stuff before this happened. And I remember like the time was starting to run up, and this guy was not coming. And I was like, okay, we need to like wrap this up. And oh yeah, and another thing, the guy took his shirt off and he had a belly button ring. And I was like, it was
That's like Joe Exotic. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's a famous cat tamer / murderer from
the belly button ring really threw me off. I was like, you were cute until I saw the belly button ring, and I was like, oh god. And then I just
had a drunk guy in our town who used to keep a spare house key on it all the time because he always would lose his keys.
Joe Exotic, got it.
So this guy wasn't coming. He wasn't
coming, and I was looking at the clock, and I felt like, I mean, my hips were getting sore because I was like doing.
Oh, you were back there doing the
with my strap on.
Wow.
And
is that exciting? Is that an exciting experience?
I was just like, wow, this is so. I mean, it was just in the middle of the day. It was just like a weekday in the middle of the day, and I'm like, I can't believe like sometimes it's like very surreal. Like at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's when
Judge
Judy's
Thursday
on.
or Friday or something. Like it was just. I was like, sometimes I just have these surreal moments where I'm like, wow, this is what I'm doing. Like when other people are just completely normal, and I'm like completely normal outside
stuff
of this
like all aboard. Like, are you like
I'm
getting
like,
into
yeah,
it? More
like,
coal,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and pretty much. And
so the man's not ejaculating, and the timer's clicking.
Timer's clicking, and I remember my hips were starting to hurt, and then this like kind of weird smell was happening, and I was like, this is getting to be really unpleasant. And then I was hitting my threshold, which I don't hit my threshold too often, but I was like, my threshold was, and I was like, I was like, I'm sorry, dude, we gotta wrap this up. And he's like, oh, well, I think he said something about the time, he's like, well, you guys should have told me that you had to end at I think it was like 3:30. And, that's the amount of time that he paid for.
Right.
So my friend who has no filter, she's like, well, in hooker time, 90 minutes is 90 minutes. We don't have to tell you at the beginning of the appointment that it will be over in 90 minutes. You should just be done in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So like it ended up like, it was just this whole, I don't know. I think we ended up like patching it up right at the end. And I think he ended up coming and stuff, but it was just like, oh my God, it was so much work. And it was like, yeah, that was one of my least favorite experiences, I have to say.
So one thing I've been thinking about recently is my body. And the different types of thing that's on my body and stuff like that, and different types of. Sometimes you have different fabrics touching against your skin, maybe, leather or cotton or burlap or Mogadishu. But now everything has changed, and that's why MeUndies has that most beautiful modal, and it's 3 times as soft as cotton. Have you ever felt cotton? And if you never felt cotton, cotton is that stuff that's in the top of vitamins. If you get vitamins and you open it up, you get a free chunk of cotton. But now, that stuff is soft. Sometimes you'll take that vitamin cotton and hide it under your nuts or whatever. But now that's all changed because MeUndies has these beautiful 3 times as soft as cotton modal undies, and they have the sharks on them. They have all different types of things. So if you want to take a bite out of somebody else's crotch, you can get that hitter pair right there. You go to MeUndies.com/weekend to get 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed. They have multiple fun prints each month, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. If you don't like them, you can mail them back. So go to MeUndies.com/weekend for 15% off your first pair, free shipping. MeUndies. So did timing? Does the time, if a guy ejaculates, is that when the time is up?
No, because my time, you're paying for my companionship, and my time and whatever happens in that time is
So
the choice between two consensual adults. And
okay. And if the guy
whatever.
busts out or whatever, and you got 30 minutes left, you guys could sit there and watch Everybody Loves Raymond or do some...
Pretty much. I mean, I have
a
a
shake or
couple
something.
of regular clients that like I'll just, a lot of my regulars book me for like 3-4 hours. So it's like a really relaxed, like we'll go to dinner. I even have a couple clients that just take me to dinner. Like I don't have sex with them. Like they just book me for hours to hang out and spend time, and they really like enjoy me and they enjoy talking to me. And
Yeah, we had a dude growing up. I remember this guy. I mean, I don't know why this made me think of this. We had this dude named Carl in our neighborhood, and he would give you like $30, and he'd walk like 15, 20 feet away from you and hold his butt open for you to look at his butthole. And that was it. And as long as you sat there and looked at it, he was fine with you keeping the money.
I had to look at a scary butthole before.
Really?
Yeah.
And now when you say scary, what does that mean?
So someone I just saw once, and he ended up actually contacting me a year later, and then he ended up being like a real time waster, annoying. I just was like, fuck this. Very little patience for that stuff now. But
Right.
So I ended up meeting him at a hotel, and he was in really good shape. He told me he did CrossFit, and he's a younger guy, owned his own business, which is a lot, like honestly, a lot of my clients. But
Right.
the way he wanted me to suck his dick, I was like laying on the bed with my head kind of hanging off, and then he was standing over me. So
That
it was
otter.
like,
They call that baby otter, dude. If you're doing that, hang your head off the back of the bed.
yeah. So his dick was going down my throat, like upside down, essentially. And so I had a like perfect. My eyes were in direct sight line to his butthole, and I think he was trying like. And I noticed his butthole like looked like an outie belly button, kind of like,
Oh, wow.
like pretty like I prolapsed maybe, or I don't know.
outie butthole.
I don't know if it's like maybe hemorrhoids or I don't know, but it was really freaky.
French.
It was freaking me out, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, I cannot believe my eyes are like 4 inches away
Butthole
from this
looked like it had
butthole.
just eaten, actually, maybe had a tart lime or something.
Oh, I don't know what happened to that butthole,
Yeah.
but then he pulled his dick out of my mouth and was like trying to get me to rim him, and I was like, no rimming.
Wow.
And then it pretty much like, and I think he was like, oh, okay. I'm like,
So that
get that butthole the fuck away from me.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So people showing up with wild body parts. Have you seen like some very small wieners and stuff like that as well?
Yeah. I mean, I have to note here that I don't have any judgments on any, like, I really
Right.
don't.
No, we're just telling a story.
Yeah,
We're
for
telling
sure.
stories.
I don't care how old you are, what your body looks like, if you have weird body hair, if like, I just care that you are clean and you smell nice.
Yeah.
If you have a hygiene problem, I have a fucking issue.
Yeah.
I have a really sensitive nose, and just I take really good care of my hygiene, and I feel like if you don't, like, I've had like a couple where I'm
Really?
like, this is not.
And is there any specific type of man that has that often doesn't come through with that soapy, definite?
A lot of escorts tweet about this on Twitter. Like, please double wash your testicles and your ball, your dick. Like, please soap it twice.
And a lot of men only wash their crotch around Christmas time at the holidays.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
don't know.
true because they have more time in the shower around then. They're visiting family.
Yeah. Dudes just don't. I don't know. Like,
It's not a thing.
we
It's
need
not
to.
as
We need
popular.
to. We need to. Like, that's a PSA. Like, please wash your balls. Like, sweaty ball smell is just the worst. It just sticks. It really sticks with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like having a little baby, It's like just having like a little baby India under
Yeah.
your under
Luckily,
your,
in baby India, yeah. Luckily, that doesn't happen too often. Like I keep really strong smelling soap available in my in-call. So I'm
Okay.
like, please use like the really like make it smell nice.
Okay. Let's get to a couple questions. We had some questions that came in from listeners, not specifically for you, obviously, but just, we let them know that we're having a sex worker on today, and we had some questions that came in. You want to hit one of those?
Yeah, I actually had one too.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Great.
Are you ever do you have an exit strategy at all? Like, do you ever want to be monogamous? Like, because you can't. I guess you could do it forever, but
That's an excellent question. I do. I'm in school full time, and I do plan on. I mean, obviously, I'm anonymous, and I don't show my face on any of my advertisements or my website or anything. So, I do plan on stopping sometime after graduation. But like, I don't know. I feel like I enjoy it so much. Like, I don't know. I do. I have mixed ideas about monogamy, to be honest, but I do want to eventually, I have been in relationships while I've been doing this, and it's not the easiest thing ever. I prefer to be single while I do this. It just makes it harder for me and harder for, the person I'm in a relationship with, because a lot of people don't understand that it's just work. Like, I have a completely separate, I compartmentalize my work, and it's just completely different for me. So
Did something was there, you feel like there was a thing in your life that happened that made it that way for you with sex? Because, people always feel like, if someone's a sex worker that they, they were molested or they were endangered or they had a bad sexual experience.
I've never been molested. I've never had a bad sexual experience. I don't know. I just really enjoy sex, and I've decided to put value to it. And I feel like my self-worth and my self-respect has only increased since I started. I value my own time a lot more too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, if that's your trade, if somebody could do origami and they're good at it, then I'll be damned if they shouldn't be out there making swans, if they can, or making, whatever those birds are. They say they're swans, but they don't even look like swans, really.
I just like to fuck. I've always been slutty. I just decided to be a professional slut.
Yeah. And just organize it and control it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. A lot of people have a lot of issues with the fact that women can monetize that.
But a lot of women seem to have a lot of issues with it, though. I respect, I don't have any, I have issues with my own, desires to act out in ways of watching pornography and ways of reaching out to, or considering sex work as opposed to considering reaching out to sex workers as ways to steer away from trying to be brave enough to stay in a committed relationship and that sort of thing, like the temptations of those and but I don't disrespect it at all as
I think it's a really healthy way to take care of those things. You're being responsible. Both parties understand the agreement.
Yeah.
It's not an affair. I'm getting what I need by, my getting my money, and you're getting what you need. It's a complete transactional, healthy, a healthy way. It's non-messy.
Yeah.
There's no strings attached whatsoever. Once you leave, once you part ways, you never have to speak again.
I like that you got that virginity inbox going on right there. I can't believe you have 10 virginities inside of you.
That's a rough estimate. I don't know.
But that, dude, for a lot of guys, it's like there's such a stigma around that, and you can't hide being a virgin, dude. There's no way to hide it. It's like your shirt fits differently when you're a virgin. It's tighter.
Right.
It's tight around the neck. Everything is. You can't. You can see really far, but you can't fucking hear that good when you're a virgin. Just everything is so built up inside of you. You're just looking for sex.
Yeah.
I remember they had one kid in our class, and he just kept being a virgin and kept being a virgin into college, dude. And then he just. it looked like he was like 9 years old and everybody else was like 30, you know?
Yeah.
And then finally he got some sex and it just everything about him changed, dude. He fucking, you know, I remember he took the tires off of his car the next day and just fucking just did a bunch of just fucking, you know, dirty, just making metal tracks in his yard. You know, just an idiot.
It's important.
Yeah.
I think this is what everyone needs to understand is this is a completely healthy and normal part of life. And if, you know, you pay people to do everything. You pay people to be your therapist. You pay people to trim your lawn. You pay people to clean your teeth. Like, why not pay people to do your hair? Like, why not pay someone to provide this service for you? It's a need.
That nut catcher. What do we have, Nick? We got some great calls and questions that came in from our listeners. I want to thank our listeners. And as always, you can submit questions, video questions even now,
theopodcasts.
And
there's a Dropbox link, and you can record yourself and upload it. It's real easy.
And there's Dropbox link, and you can record yourself there and upload a video. All right, then let's get to a couple of questions that came in. And also, you can leave audio questions, 985-664-9503.
Hi, Theo. This is Kayla calling from Sacramento. I'm kind of calling to ask her kind of what her take is on with her job as far as, like, empowerment and how, like, it satisfies her. I've recently kind of started contemplating the ideas of sugaring, and just in that I've gotten so much backlash and a lot of hate from close friends, surprisingly, even despite the political climate we're in. Anyway, more power to her.
Fuck yeah. I like that question. Like I kind of mentioned before, I feel like sex work. I saw this tweet a while ago. It said life hack sex work. And I feel like it has been a life hack. I was able to completely fix my fucked up credit. I was able to get out of debt. I've been able to like completely support my best friend through her school. I've supported myself through school. I've been completely on my own. Like at one point in my life, I've been on food stamps and didn't have a vehicle and rode a bike for a few years. Mm-hmm. And it's been nothing but empowering and such a positive experience. I thought it was going to be like this dark kind of seedy thing. Mm-hmm. And it's been completely opposite of that. It's been nothing but positive. But then I do a lot of things to take care of myself, my emotional health. I have a special therapist that sees sex workers. I have, a very close safety net of friends that really support and love me. I guess like my only words for her is that sugaring, my opinion on sugaring is not, I feel like they just want to get the most for the least amount of money.
Those people are snakes.
They're
I
completely,
agree.
yeah.
It's snakes.
So, and also as far
man.
as like your friends go, I feel like if anyone judges you for something that you want to do with your own body, like maybe they're not like the best friend. Like I feel like everyone should have their own,
but see,
they can do what, I feel like we should be able to do what we want with our bodies.
100%. But the interesting thing is, like, I wouldn't want my sisters doing it,
Why?
Because I guess I would be scared for them. I would be nervous. I know how men can be. Mm-hmm. And, in that at certain points, especially when you're dealing with sex, it's a lot of, like, instinctual type of stuff. It's mm-hmm. like, things that can override a man's thoughts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I think for me, it would just be fear, Now, if one of them did, of course, I would speak how I felt about it with them,
right.
and share those things. But I would still, I wouldn't not love them or, try and be as, I guess, supportive as I could, even though it would probably be hard for me to sometimes,
Yeah. I mean, the whole purpose of this is I want this to become a safer environment for everyone to be able to do what they want to do with their bodies and make their own choices. Even as far as clients go, like a client should be able to choose whether or not he sees a sex worker and not have to face the stigma of society over it. Like it's, like I said, in European countries, it's it's way more open.
Can you still have love though and have sex work? That's something that makes me think like, oh man, well eventually everybody's just going to be sex workers and everything's just going to be, and then nobody's going to be in love anymore.
Absolutely. I've been in love. while doing this, and it was just the wrong place, wrong time. But I felt like my love was completely unaffected by my work. Like I was just able to, I do, my best friend tells me I'm a special human all the time because I am able to separate emotions from sex. But
a lot of women probably can't.
a lot of women can, and sex work isn't for everybody. I also need to stress that it's not for everybody.
Right.
I know it was the right choice for me, and I know a lot of my friends that do it, it's the right choice for them, and they enjoy it, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, we're not saying if your car is broken, go fucking make a website.
Yeah. Don't go sugaring just because you are, seeing the fantasy of it on Instagram. Like you have especially nothing was more shady than when I was sugaring. That shit was shady as fuck.
Yeah.
There was not good things happening. That has not happened while I've been an escort.
So did you feel like, obviously with sugaring, it's a lot of guys, they get on these sites, there's no exact terms a lot of times. I've never been involved in this, but I hear about it firsthand all the time from a friend of mine.
Right.
And a friend who I would never let date a sister of mine or even let her be around him probably for the weekend. But also who is still a buddy and I love him. He's a funny guy. Like, I can separate that for me as his friend. But yeah, he gets on these things. He'll take them out to somewhere nice. They go to somewhere nice. And then there's never any like payment or compensation. A lot of them, it seems like, feel like they need to have sex in order to keep the guy around. Mm-hmm. And then the guy never calls them again.
Yep. That's my experience with sugaring. I went to nice dinners and stuff. And then it was like this like taboo to even talk about like, oh, how much money am I going to get? And like, they would almost make you feel bad for even there was just no clear boundaries. There was no...
Right, and that gives you nothing as the...
It was just I did get money. I was able to have somewhat of a little savings built up from that, but it was very laborious. It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And what type of girls get, like, where's there a moment for girls where they think about getting a sugaring where they can, what could they do at a certain moment to do something else and not get into any of it?
Not get involved with any sex work. Like nothing online, nothing. I don't know. I guess sex work is the same as any work. Minimum wage retail, I guess. I think that's I worked retail too. I think that's the kind of pit you fall into, either retail or even serving at a restaurant or whatever. Or go to school. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
I fucking worked at a Hot Topic for a while, dude. I actually got electrocuted once at a Hot Topic. I fell into a box of fucking Beavis and Butthead lamps and fucking got electrocuted.
I feel like I was coerced and forced and living my worst life when I worked retail way more than.
Oh, I'd rather blow a dude than fucking fold one more shirt at Abercrombie. That's for damn sure, dude.
I worked at Sports Authority and I was the best damn shoe insole salesman Eden Prairie, Minnesota ever had.
Yeah,
but
I could see that. Okay, we got a video question here that came in from our video fan line.
Cool.
Here we go.
Hello, Theodore. I got a question for your charlatan friend and that night walker. I was just seeing if she ever fell in love while tooting, doing her job. Thank you again. This is Joe from Rockville, Maryland.
Hoorah, he was going to say at the end. Thank you, Joe, for, and tootin'. Some people say, I have a tootin', they say prostitutin'.
Oh, tootin'.
Yeah.
Tootin'. I saw a little train with Thomas the Train Engine, and it was if she doing it for the loot, she a prostitute.
A lot of toots out there, man.
Toot. I don't know if he meant with a client or like I said, I was in love with someone completely outside of my job that I knew them. And as far as clients go, I have never been in love with a client. I've had a couple clients fall in love with me. I have had good physical chemistry with a couple clients where I was just whoa. Where my pheromones their pheromones, and
there's no writing
we were
on
just
the wall.
we were just
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
and it was
dun.
with people obviously that I would never encounter
That's
in my
Swayze.
I would never encounter in my real life. So, but no, I've never fallen in love with a client.
Have you ever seen somebody have like the nicest pair of nuts you've ever seen or anything like that?
The nicest pair of nuts. I mean,
Because I think
nuts are
sometimes,
okay.
I don't think
Like,
about other dudes' nuts, but sometimes I wonder if everybody has like the same nuts or if everybody has like different nuts.
I've seen some really pretty dicks.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen some pretty ones. I'm like,
And what do you
damn,
mean,
okay.
kind of?
Just nice shape, like perfect size, well groomed. It looks good. And it smells nice.
Do they hang straight down or some? Oh, they have to hang one way or the other. What is that?
I've seen a couple. I mean, I've seen them hang all which ways. Like
Wow.
curved up, curved down, curved the side, curved the other side.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing.
Like it's trying to peek around a cantaloupe. My buddy had that.
Dicks are all different, and I think everyone expects vaginas to all be the same, or that vaginas get stretched out. Like, can you imagine if a dick got smaller every time you had sex? Like, oh, this vagina shrunk my dick. That's pretty much the same as saying
Oh, I've used that excuse before, so yes, I can imagine that.
a dick has stretched out a vagina.
Let's take another question here. Did you answer that one? Did we answer that one?
We did. And a lot of the questions left we've kind of covered, but we can go more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, Theo. Long-time listener, first-time caller. But my question for her is, has she ever had someone pay for sex? And she was like, damn, man, you're paying me to have sex with you? Shit, I do it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, damn.
Yeah, there was a 6'3" professional swimmer, and I was just like, "What the fuck?"
And we're
I
not
saw
going to
him
name
a
names,
couple
but
times.
Ryan Lochte. is who we're going with.
And he unfortunately, this guy kind of took advantage of my heart eye emojis for him, and he was like, "Hey, can I take you to lunch like off the clock?" And I was like, "Oh,
Wow, and you had to say no.
no." I stuck to my guns. I was like, "No, dude, like."
You had
But
to shut it down.
that was just one in particular, but I've had a couple people take their shirts off, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I can't believe it. Yeah, and I've like orgasm a bunch of times. Like, I just fucking enjoyed the fuck out of myself, and I was like, and I got money too. This is awesome.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.
Like if a girl came up to you and said, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about getting into sex work. Would you talk her into it or would you talk her out of it? And not judging your own experience, but, and not letting whatever you decide to sell her judge you. I'm not judging you by that
Right.
but would you talk her into it or talk her out of it?
I've had a couple girls in my, regular civilian life, kind of like ask me to help them get going and stuff. And it's turned out for me to be like quite like a lot of labor that I just don't see the point in anymore. So I kind of am just like, good luck. If you want to do that, good luck.
Right.
But like I say, I'm like, I'm special. I'm able to compartmentalize. I'm happy and fulfilled. I don't know. So it's kind of, I guess I would just tell them it's not for everyone and really, consider what you're getting into because it is a risky situation.
Is it lonely?
For me, no, but I know for a lot of women it is. I'm just a social butterfly and I have so many friends and so many people that love and care about me and I just it's not lonely for me, but it can be lonely. There are companions that do a lot of touring, so that's how they make the majority of their income is by traveling to different cities and posting up in a nice hotel for a couple days and seeing clients in that particular city. And I can imagine that probably being pretty lonely. Like I don't do that and I can't do that because of school and stuff. And also I'm a homebody. I like to be at home. But I can imagine that being more lonely. But I don't think I wouldn't talk anybody out of it. I would just say, it's not for everybody, but this is my experience.
Do you have you ever been to some parties where they got like 40, 50 ladies there and they got a couple of, it's like just a couple of basketball players types of, that's what I always picture. I feel like waterfalls and fucking, a couple of brothers hired real turtles to swim around in the pool and, everybody's touching each other's ass and everything.
I know those happen, but I've only been to like one thing like that. I don't know. That's not typically. also because I don't party, so I don't
Oh, so
market
you're not
my-
in that drug world. So
No,
in the drug
there's-
world, it's probably totally different.
Yeah, there's girls that are like, I party. And party is code word for I'll do blow with you all night, I'll do whatever, like, and I get asked that, from potential clients that email me. They're like, oh, do you party? And I'm like, nope, I don't. So I think I get like kind of passed over for a lot of that kind of stuff just because of that fact.
Right. But you also get it keeps a lot of trouble out of your universe as well.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. You ever been to space? You ever been a square? Now you can do it all. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. If you're doing an old school method, you paying some guy in Germany or Rome or somewhere to build you a site, you haven't heard from him and everything, and he's laundering your money and all of that, change it up. You have beautiful designer templates right there at Squarespace. You can create a wonderful website, domains, websites, online stores, marketing tools. It's never been easier to sell products or services online, and you can manage all your products, orders, and inventory easily. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Theo Von to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/Theo Von. And if you want to get right, then get Squarespace. I'm trying to think of what else I want to know. I guess, how about this? So, I'm a guy in my life that struggle with, commitment a lot. And this is something that I'm kind of exploring right now in my own life, to be honest with you, Allison. And, a lot of times when I have like real feelings and stuff like that, I'll find some way like to either look at pornography or to, I would just text sex workers and just text them, and be like, 280, what about, what if I put on some cologne and let's do 240? You know what I'm saying?
Shame
I'm like,
on you.
Oh, I'm just total. But it was just like, it was ridiculous,
No, but you obviously.
Like, what if I put on a nice hat? You know what I'm saying? And maybe we'll call it, 220.
There's a lot of guys actually that are like, but I'm really good looking. So can you anytime someone's told me that, I'm like, it's double for you. It's
Wow.
it's double for good looking dudes. I charge double for that. Sorry.
But for me, it's like I feel ashamed about that type of behavior.
Like,
I feel ashamed about pornography. I feel ashamed about any time when I have, instead of like putting my feelings into a relationship or into a place, and this could be my own issue. These are my issues. But it's like I feel, like I'll divert from something that's real to something that's more of a fantasy. Do you find a lot of your client like
there's a lot to unpack there, but I feel like this, like I mentioned before, this weird puritanical moral kind of high ground that we have in this country is really weird, and I don't understand the shame around sex because it's the most natural part of like who we are.
Yeah.
It's like eating and sleeping. We need sex. Like it's part of it's an instinctual, it's just a primal thing.
Yeah.
It's just part of the human experience. So I feel like if you're doing it in a responsible way, me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it whatsoever. As far as like, you having, like you said, commitment stuff, and you'd rather like the fantasy is more interesting to you. I mean,
well, it's not more interesting. It's just it's easier than going through and figuring out what my feelings are to possibly get into a better place where I could be in an actual relationship.
And
that's more.
You
tempting.
feel like you're being inhibited.
I just feel it's like, man, I get so nervous and stuff about commitment, and so like just internally somewhere kind of spooked that, I will look at things to like engage, like, oh, I'll look at pornography, or I'll flirt with escorts, or I'll people sending me their crotch and stuff on Snapchats, Snap crotch, I call it. People some dude sent me this morning where I was not prepared. He was singing with his dick out.
What in the
And it was at first he had long hair, and I was like, oh, who is it? And then bam, he turned around and it was a man. So Snapchat's just really turning into like kind of chat roulette or whatever. Remember the chat roulette where people were
Yes,
just
I
jerking
loved
off?
chat roulette. I thought it was the funniest shit ever. I was so entertained by that. That was
so scary.
That's some old school shit.
Scary.
I don't know. I guess maybe figure out what makes you so nervous about things. And I mean,
Yeah.
you're just not in a point in your life that I think as far as relationships go and the right one for you, it just happens when it happens. Like there's no point in like seeking it out or whatever.
Right.
Just like continue to become the best version of you. And that's kind of what I do. And then what happens from there is what's meant to happen. And you just kind of like let the universe take care of it.
Do you get a lot of clients that are married couples or single men that are like kind of acting outside of their marriages that are afraid to talk to their wives? Do you get just women clients?
I've never gotten a woman client, but I would not be opposed to that whatsoever. I think that would be a pretty tight experience. I'd say a good percentage of my clients are married, and it is a discreet thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I give them, they've either they've stopped being intimate for whatever reason. Their wife has stopped being intimate with them, and they just feel the need still, and they want to do it in the most responsible way by like doing it in a transactional way, not carrying on an affair, because they really love their wives and they want to be with their wives. That's their partner. That's their like partner for life. And just because they've, kind of like sought some need outside of that, that's the thing with monogamy. To have one person be everything that you need, your sex partner, your comforter, your the love of your life, your chef, you're the mother of your children, for one person to take on all of that is kind of intense. Like that's what I'm a little like, monogamy is a little iffy for me just because of that reason. Like I feel
it's like I might be able to make a pierogi, but I can't make you come really good.
Yeah,
That's a lot of, it is a lot of responsibility.
That's a lot. And, as much as I love, and, I feel like we all have, we'll have like multiple loves of our lives, and we'll have multiple partners and people that like are better suited for us in different times of our lives. And I don't know, I feel very just like fluid about that, I guess. And I feel like I've like kind of taken care of a specific need that like a certain person has.
Right.
And then they've left feeling relieved and happy, and they know that like, I'm not going to text them and be like, when are you going to leave your wife for me or whatever, because I completely respect that they're, like I just
You're
want them.
a service provider.
Yes, that's it. That's completely it. And I don't, and I say thank you for doing, you're married. Thank you for doing this in a responsible way.
Right.
Thank you for not like carrying on an emotional affair with someone who's going to be expecting you to leave your wife or whatever. Like,
right. It's almost, it is more, I think, if you have to discuss it with a spouse, discussing it like that, if you are going to, participate in those types of behaviors. I think for me, I romanticize about, and I would like to be in a relationship where, everything is right there. You got that one-stop shop, you got that girl who's, making you maybe a nice gazpacho, and doing hand jobs or something in the garage or something. And you guys are,
I feel like,
doing Scrabble.
I feel like that's such a hard thing to find in one person, to like have the like physical chemistry, first of all, like in order to like.
But it's been done for a long time.
True, but like, I don't know, divorce rate is like over 50%.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect. Monogamy is not perfect. And when I've been in relationships, even in sex work, I'm monogamous with that partner. I don't have sex with anyone like outside of work or that partner.
Okay. Does monogamy scare you though?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And even like in between sex work, when I wasn't doing sex work, I've been in long-term relationships where I was completely faithful and loyal. Like I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have any like daddy issues or anything like that, but it is difficult to find someone that you completely like get along with so well, enjoy being around.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, have like that fire sex, like that, like you are like addicted to sex with each other, where you just like the chemistry is swirling, the pheromones love each other. Like it's all, a lot of people I feel like just get married because I don't know. This is just my observation, but they get married because it's like, oh, like, you know, it's the easy thing to do. And that person, you know, they get along generally, but like maybe they don't have like that like super passionate love life or whatever. I don't know, but
Right.
they're better suited in all other ways of life. I don't know. I just feel like it's
And
a
sometimes
it's a
that's
complex
nice to have a
thing.
partner that can help you get through the world. you
Yeah.
know?
No, I totally am 100% all about a partner. Like, I think that's awesome.
Right.
But I think it would be quite difficult to find all of those things in one
And these
person.
days, when we see so many influences that show us that make us believe you can have everything, it's like maybe we're looking for something that's not even exactly real. Whereas before, we used to be a little bit more accepting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if things they didn't have this or they weren't this.
Yeah.
And we realized that we weren't all those things as well.
Or maybe also thinking that there's something better out there always.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always sold something better here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like even like, you know, like celebrities that attach themselves to different causes. Like sometimes it's great and some just go from cause to cause because it's like the next better thing. Oh, let's switch you over here to, you know, people are using, you know, they're using blood rubber over here in these tires, you know. So we got to shut this down. You know, they're getting these out of, you know, this is blood rubber. Let's get one more question that came in or two more that came in for Allison. Nick, please.
Hi, Theo. My name's Sarah, and I just had a question for your next upcoming guest. In the line of sex work, how you are able to reconcile the feelings of, like, emotional attachment to sex and just seeing it as work. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I've just always been super emotionally attached person. Thank you. Bye.
You know, I like that. Yeah, a little more. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that's actually a really like big part of it.
Because you can do that. You said you can compartmentalize.
Yeah.
And you're the rarity, though.
I am. I think I just kind of hold a special place for those, you know, like, you know, I do have like relationships with my like regular clients and stuff, and like, you know, I really enjoy them for who they are, but I don't have like that super. I think a lot of women just they carry a lot of like emotional attachment to sex. I think that's why it's difficult for women to kind of, you know, be slutty, because they're like, well, what is this? Like, we had sex, so does that mean, you know, you're going to be my boyfriend? Or I don't know. So I've never really had that. I think that's a really wild idea to even think that. So I'm just, I guess I'm in the minority there, but I do have like rituals in order to like kind of like, you know, cut the energy cord from, you know, after I see a client, I'm like, okay, cut the energy cord, send it back with love and light. Like I do, you know, absorb emotional energy. So I, you know, do what I can to, you know, cleanse myself of that and keep myself healthy and keep my emotions in check. I mean, some days are better than others. Sometimes it's like, man, sometimes it doesn't feel that great. It's not always, you know, perfect, but
Yeah.
I'm a human. I'm not a robot. So yeah, I guess that's like my best answer for that. But I really appreciate these questions though.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the answers. I mean, I think it's interesting.
Our booker, Gianni, we have a closed circuit live feed. He asked if your parents knew.
Yes. I've been open somewhat with my family about it. And it's kind of, I'm not the closest with my family, so it's almost like a don't ask, don't tell thing. But, you know, they know.
Do you think if you had a close relationship with your family that you would have even gotten into something like this, or you think this is...
That's a good question.
I guess it's hard to know.
It is hard to know, but I don't know. I've kind of always felt, I've always loved sex, and I've always loved,
Well, you control it then.
yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, sometimes with comedy, it's like, I know if I'm making people laugh, like when people are laughing, it's almost like they're impaired for a minute, like, or for a second, you know? They're shaking, they're making a sound. I mean, it's the closest thing you can get to really shooting somebody, you know? Kind of, you know? Or electrocuting them.
Right.
It's like, you know, so I know that when it's almost like putting a little bitty spell on them, you know? And I think for me, I just felt, probably inside of me, I felt so uncomfortable that was the only moment I could feel comfortable was if somebody else was, you know, I knew if they were like that, then they couldn't do anything to me. There was nothing they could. They had no control in that moment.
Right.
Because it's involuntary for them to laugh.
Right.
So they had no control.
Right.
It was completely out of their control because they were doing something involuntary.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a moment where, not like I had to be so controlling, but just I knew then in that moment that they weren't going to be able to do something to make me feel bad or make me feel scared or harmed, you know?
I relate to that.
Yeah, I just wonder sometimes, or not wonder sometimes, but I wonder right now if that's, yeah, it's like you can control the situation.
Mm-hmm. It's all a very controlled environment. A lot of, like 90% of my job is just talking and like connecting with people.
Yeah.
Just learning about people. I get a lot of free financial advice.
Yeah, I bet.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I jerk off semi-regularly, and I'm saying invest in Amazon, actually, right now.
I own some Amazon
There
stock.
you go,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
How about this, though? Do you have couples that get you, a husband and wives?
Yeah, I have had a couple couples.
Let's rattle through a couple of wild things that people have had you do.
So I had this couple. I drove down to Orange County to see them. They
White
were,
or black or
They
orange?
were white.
Okay.
They were orange. They were white. They were both a little heavy set, so I felt like a fucking Victoria's Secret model.
A couple of thick hippopotamuses,
Yeah.
boy. I like it.
They were, they had their kids off at a they like staying with the grandparents or something. So there was like, you know, kids' toys and stuff. But they did well. They had a nice place. And they were like, actually, it was one of my colleagues sent me to them. She's like, I've seen them before, and I'm not in the mood to see them. And I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll do it. So they were like partying. They're like, yeah, this is like our special treat.
They're doing some cocaine?
They were doing some blow. They were,
What music were they listening to?
oh fuck. I think just like top 40.
Yeah.
They were like, and also the thing is that they were only like 3 years older than me, and I felt like they were 15 years older than me.
Yeah,
like,
boy.
They were like,
A lot of sunburn and tits, bro.
yeah. It was, and the wife was wearing like, lingerie, and then he was like, oh man, this is so exciting. And she basically was like, she's like, I don't really like sucking his dick, so if you could suck his dick, that would be awesome. She was like cheering me on. And it was like, that was very challenging because I don't know if you know what blow does to a penis, but it's not a fun situation.
Oh, yeah. That's that Punxsutawney Phil, boy.
I just get into this like meditative, like,
Oh, yeah.
you're going to come, you're going to come, you're going to come. I've all other thoughts kind of fly out of my head. And
You
I'm
almost
like,
got to punch somebody in the asshole to come if they're like, on cocaine. You got to really.
It was exhausting. And he, she was like, kind of like, then she had me come outside and we like smoked a cigarette together. And she was like, I know that I just wanted him to have like a fun time because I know like, I don't want him to like cheat on me. So I figure if we do this together, then it's all good. And then I found out later from my girlfriend that the guy hits her up to see her alone all the time. So I was like, oh God, that was like a completely disingenuous situation. But, yeah. And actually that girlfriend of mine, she told me about a situation that I was just so horrified by hearing. She went and saw a married couple that were in their mid 80s.
Oh, yeah, boy. And that's at least 84. Let's remember that.
Geriatric. And she told me that the hotel room smelled like
baby powder?
like a nursing home. And I was just like, girl, I couldn't do it.
I think you're going to say nursery.
There's some situations where I'm like, I could not. And she was like, I feel so desensitized after that. She said she went down on the lady.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh. I had a newfound respect for that chick. I really did. I was
That's
like,
that Barbara Bush, daddy.
girl, you did it.
Dang.
She said it was like
that's a Chavez
hours.
Ravine,
She said it was
dude.
hours too. I mean, that girl,
No.
she walked away from that with like,
Hours.
8,000. Like she got a lot from that because she's, she has a high rate. She walked away with a lot of money, but I'm like, I don't even think I could do that for that. I don't know. There's a price for everything, but fuck.
Have you ever been surprised like a celebrity hired you and you went over there and it was a celebrity?
Yes.
And is that kind of scary or?
No, I really just try to maintain my professionalism always.
Yeah.
And my discretion. Like I see clients out, like, I've been out. I feel like I can't go to steakhouses in Beverly Hills at all. Like I just can't go.
So Mastro's is a bad
Always
place.
see, yeah, like I'm either with a client or I see a client or I just, it's a very discreet, like it's like a secret. It's like a cute secret.
And is it like, do you ever do you have a finishing move if you're finishing off a client, like you're trying to get somebody to bust out or whatever?
What is my I bust out like if it's getting. I had this client that I saw all the time, and I think he had a cocaine problem, but he was. I tolerated him because he gave me way more than my rate, and it was worth it to me. I would have to bring baby oil and just like oil up my tits, oil up their dick. You can't put a condom on after that because the oil will break through the latex. So it's kind of all just like hands and tits and like ball rubbing, and that's usually my finisher. If all else fails, if the golden pussy can't do it, then which isn't often, then it's the oil, the kind of helps things along.
And do you have a regular pussy, or what is that like?
Do I have a regular pussy?
Yeah.
I love my pussy. I think my pussy's pretty special.
Okay.
I have a special pussy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I call it a princess pussy.
Okay.
Because I don't like I tell people, I'm like, I can only do like a certain amount of like actual intercourse before it starts getting a little ouchies for me.
Okay. And what about everybody these days? Everybody's into butt activity. You said earlier that's not one of your things.
Not one of my things.
What is something wild that somebody's requested that you've had to be like, nah?
Well, I did something pretty wild that I would never do again. That was completely surprised. Like this gentleman walked in with kind of like a toiletries bag, I guess. And
That's an overnight kit.
this is something that I was like, I had to take a couple days off after this. He walked in and he just had like a old pervy vibe, which I'm like, I can handle it. It's fine. I counted the money first. It's all good. So then he's like, it seems like a regular session. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, can we play with toys? And I was like, I don't have any toys. Like, what do you mean? He's like, oh no, I brought some. He pulls out, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud, but he pulls out this thing with a wooden handle.
Oh yeah.
And on the end of it is 3 like baseball sized metal balls, all kind of like linked together with a wooden handle.
Okay.
And then he pulls out baby lotion.
Oh yeah.
Like a really like the pink Johnson and
That's
Johnson.
that Gladiator hitter, man.
Like
that's
not
Gerard Butler.
not lube or anything, but
Yeah.
And he asked me to put that into his butt. And I did it just because it was in the moment. And
How
I
big was
did
this
it.
deal, you think?
This thing?
Yeah.
How big was it? I think.
Like, how long would you hold it up in the air before your arm would get tired, you think?
I mean, I don't know. I'm in pretty good shape, so I could probably hold it for a while. But I felt like I was.
But like how long? Like 2 hours or like 30 seconds, 40 seconds?
Probably 30 seconds. And then
Oh, wow.
It was a heavy duty thing. Like the handle was wooden, the balls were metal. Like he squirts a bunch of fucking baby lotion on it, and I felt like I was plunging a toilet. Like it was fucked up. It was so fucked up. I was like, that is the most fucked up thing that I've ever had to do.
And what was he doing this whole time? Was he reading? Was he on it? Was he? Or you just enjoying it?
He was just into it, and I was like, fuck.
And what is he touching his wiener or something during that?
I think he was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he contacted me again later, and I told him that it was super fucked up that he did that. I was like, you should never do that to people, ever. So.
Oh, it's fucked up of him to do that to you.
Yes. I was like, I mean, obviously, like, nothing was happening to me, but I was just, the whole experience of it, I was like, what in the actual fuck is happening right now? That was probably one of the worst, probably the worst. Like, I just was a little.
That was too much.
Yeah, I had to take a couple days off after that. I was like, that was not.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was a lot.
That's the dark arts.
That I would say is the dark arts for sure. Everyone likes their own thing.
Yeah.
People are kinky, whatever. But for me specifically, and that's what I love also about sex work, is it's fully anything I do is in my control.
Is in your control?
I say yes and no. I control it. I'm like, nope, I'm not into that. Sorry. Like, no, I'm not into kink that or kink this or whatever. I don't do that just like, I don't do butt stuff, like whatever. Like I can make my own rules and nobody can say shit to me about them because it's my own fucking body and it's my rules.
There you go. That's it. We have a gift for you, and this is from one of our sponsors. It's from Ridge. They make some really cool stuff.
Cute.
And you can open it up.
Okay.
And it's a really...
Is this a knife?
Yeah.
Oh my God, cool. I'll bring this to work. Just kidding.
There you go. No, yeah. That's the plan.
Sounds like a good
our
plan.
producer thought it would be a good plan. Yeah, and it's a nice knife. They make a lot of really cool stuff. They make the wallet that I have, and they make a lot of great items.
Amazing.
So let me see it. So you can protect yourself.
Thank you.
So you just like push that part down.
Okay.
And then you can close that part.
Sick.
But yeah, this is a beautiful
Sick.
knife. This is a high-end fancy knife. And you can get these at, I think, ridgewallet.com/Theo. And they have a link on there. And you can get 10% off, I think. We'll put the link up and we'll put it below in the elements. That's a nice knife, though.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Have you ever had to knife someone?
No. I've never been in like a particularly dangerous situation, but minus one time I got completely ripped off. But
Really?
And that like scared me because I was like, this guy's probably a fucking psycho. But other than that, I don't feel like I've been in any. I mean, thank God. Like I realize what I do is, risky, but I've put a lot of things in place in order to keep myself safe.
Do you feel like over time, though, say if like these laws where you can't advertise on these sites, eventually it'll keep women from doing it at all? Do you see that long term it could be helpful?
It's the oldest profession in the world. It's never going to go away.
There you
ever.
go. There you go. Allison,
Theo.
you're a sex worker and you're a charming lady. And sex worker, I remember you said to me whenever we spoke on the phone, you said sex worker. Mm-hmm. And other terms?
Oh, yes. We say sex worker because it humanizes us because we are workers. We're legitimate workers. I really don't like, obviously prostitute is like a legal term. Like, hooker, whore, hoe, whatever. Those words dehumanize us. Like they people are just like, oh, that, she doesn't matter. She's a hooker. She's not a real person. I want people to humanize us. We're normal people. Everyone I know is like every girl that I know that does this is educated, well-traveled, emotionally healthy, wonderful, beautiful people, artists, like happy people. Like we enjoy what we do. Like just let us work and let us work and like be safe.
What if people were like, oh, she got that party kitty? Is that an okay term?
Yeah. That's an okay term. Party kitty? Sure.
I'm just trying to think of something that, that's still, obtuse, but it's also kind of fun,
Yeah. I think escort, companion, those are all acceptable terms. Like derogatory terms like hooker, hoe, all of that is, it just, it's equivalent to, derogatory terms about trans people or people of color. Like it's.
She got that secret slick. Mm-hmm. That's what some people could say.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. But Allison, thanks so much for being here with us today, and we really appreciate it. I think, definitely educational for me, to see another side of it where somebody that's not that hasn't been sex trafficked. Do you see a lot of people that are sex trafficked in your work?
Never.
Yeah.
I've never seen, I don't know. No, never. I really haven't.
Yeah. And maybe it's a world issue. And America is just trying to be an example. That's one of the things that I think America struggles with a lot is, well, how do we, be an example?
Right. And I honestly think this bill was just a very sneaky way of kind of taking away our freedom of speech online.
Yeah. Oh, I see that all the time,
100%.
man. Tech is the new fossil fuels, dude. If you don't think that, these companies are the new oil companies, then you're wrong. Broadband is going to become real estate. It's all, I believe in some of these things I'm saying. We'll discuss it another time. Allison, thanks so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And we're going to pay Allison, actually, for being here today.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Great.
It's work, and we consider this.
I appreciate that.
We consider this your time. And so we will pay you for that. And thank you so much.
Thanks.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take for me to set that parking brake and let myself unwind. Shine.